How do you go about completely changing your life for the better? Well, that's what we're going to explore today in Atomic Habits by James Clear. This is a fantastic book. Now, following hustle culture and grinding 16 hours a day, in order to achieve extraordinary results, you have to be out of the ordinary and you can rest when you're dead. That's just going to lead to a high chance of burnout. But if you follow the 5 key principles that we're discussing today, then you'll be focusing instead on just getting 1% better every single day, which will lead to you achieving your goals and dreams in the long run. Hey there, I'm Stanley, and on this channel, I aim to share what I learn about building and sustaining a life that you both deserve and love. So if that kind of content resonates with you, consider subscribing to learn more about it. If you haven't heard of Atomic Habits, it is a New York Times #1 bestseller. It's sold over 20 million copies at this point, which is wild, and it outlines an easy and proven way to build good habits and break bad ones, allowing you to make consistent progress towards your goals without burning out. Our first lesson from this book is going to be the fundamentals of why tiny changes make a big difference. Now, as I said before, in this book, James Clear really focuses on just getting 1% better every day, which doesn't sound like a lot, but over time, it could allow you to end up with results up to 37 times better after 1 year than if you remained stagnant or experienced a 1% decline every day. He says that habits are the compound interest of self-improvement. The same way that money multiplies through compound interest, the effects of your habits multiply as you repeat them. Think about going to the gym, for example. If you go one time and you do one workout, you're not all of a sudden going to get six-pack abs. But if you focus on going consistently and maybe pushing yourself just 1% more every single session, then yeah, over time you will start to see those benefits much higher than if you didn't go to the gym at all. So how do we develop a habitual behavior that's been repeated enough times to become practically automatic? Well, that's where our first law of behavior change comes into play. Make it obvious. If you want to develop new habits, then you have to start small, and I mean on the atomic level. Okay, there are 2 very powerful techniques for doing this. One is the implementation formula, and the other is habit stacking. The implementation formula says that I will insert new behavior here at this time in this location. For example, let's say I want to create a habit of going to the gym after I get home from work. Well, using the implementation formula, I could say, I am going to get into my gym clothes at 7 p.m. when I get home from work. So I'm saying at 7 p.m. at home, I will change into my gym clothes, which makes me more likely to actually go. And I could even set an alarm on my phone for this. The other method we can use, which is one of my favorites, is habit stacking. And if you want a sample sentence for this, it would be after current habit that I have, I will new habit. Sticking with that gym example, let's say you use the implementation formula to get into your gym clothes at 7 p.m. when you get home. Now, if we habit stack, we could say, okay, I'm getting into my gym clothes, and after I do that, then I will go to the gym. Or then I will grab my keys, put on my shoes, and walk out the door. And once you're out the door, you're probably not turning back. You're pretty likely to get in the car and drive where you intended to. Stepping away from the gym example, let's apply it somewhere else. Let's say you want to create the habit of reading more. Possibly before you go to sleep, you want to read a little bit. So you can set yourself up for success here with habit stacking by saying, okay, the first thing I do every day is I wake up. That is a habit that exists. Now I could habit stack on top of that and say, okay, immediately after I wake up, I am going to make my bed. And then immediately after I make my bed, I'm going to place a book on my pillow. And then I can go about and do the rest of my day. But that 3-step sequence of stacked habits are going to make you more likely to read when you get into bed at night because the book is just going to be there. And you're stacking these so it becomes an automatic behavior pattern. And you don't have to think too hard about, oh, I forgot to put the book on my pillow. No, it's going to be automatic because you're going to wake up, you're going to make your bed, and then before you go off and do the rest of your stuff, you're just putting the book on the pillow. Now, even if the new habit you're trying to build is obvious, you've laid out a framework for how you would like to do it, and you know when you're supposed to do it, that doesn't mean that you are guaranteed to actually do it. And that is where our second law of behavior change comes in: make it attractive. One very effective strategy to make a desired habit irresistible is to use temptation bundling. The principle behind this is that you will only allow yourself to take action on an implicitly desired action if and only if you implement a new habit that you are trying to create. And you can pair this with habit stacking like this. Let's say you have this current habit, and after you do that, you're saying, I will new habit here. And after you do new habit, then you will allow yourself to do a habit that you wanted to do. Now, this is all very meta, so let's use a real world example. Let's say you want to stretch more, but you also have this habit of checking social media in the morning after you make your coffee. Okay, so we've identified these current behaviors. I make coffee in the morning and I check my social media, but I want to insert stretching somewhere. So how can I do that? Well, you know you want to check social media, right? So let's insert stretching in there using this temptation bundling. You make your coffee, that's your current habit. After you do that, say, I will stretch for a few minutes while the coffee cools down. And then after I stretch, I get to drink my coffee and scroll social media for a few minutes. So you're using these things you're already doing, which is making coffee in the morning, and things you want to do. You have the temptation to do it, is check your phone, and you are inserting stretching in there, which is a new habit you're trying to create. Doing this rewires your brain to associate the new habit that you want to create with an existing temptation that you have, which makes you much more likely to take action on the habit you want to insert into your lifestyle. Okay, now even if you have everything planned out to the letter for how you're going to insert this new habit into your life, there's still going to be a little bit of friction to get started, which is going to be a little hard to get over. So that's where our third law of behavior change comes in: make it easy. I mean, the reason we often struggle to start new behaviors that we'd like to incorporate into our lives is because of that friction of just getting started. So let's say you want to create the habit of going to the gym after you wake up in the morning, but think for a moment about everything that's involved in doing that. I mean, first you gotta put on your gym clothes, then you gotta put on deodorant, then you gotta gather your gym stuff, you need your headphones, you need your gym shoes, you need your water bottle, then you gotta get your keys, then you gotta go to the car, then you gotta get swole and get sweaty, and then you gotta drive home, and then you gotta shower, and there's a lot that's involved in just going to the gym. So if you wanna go to the gym, well, break that down to the atomic level. Never gets old. Well, that's where I'm going to introduce to you the 2-minute rule. The 2-minute rule basically says that I am going to take the first action that is involved in the habit I want to create, and I'm just going to take that and say, you know what? I'm going to do this for 2 minutes. I'm going to do this action for 2 minutes, and that's it. If I want to stop there, then I can stop. But what this does is that it kind of tricks your brain into thinking, you know what, I've got 2 minutes, I can do this for 2 minutes. But then once you do actually get started, you'll have momentum and you'll probably want to keep going, right? Think about an object in motion wants to stay in motion. Once you put on the gym clothes, that takes about 2 minutes, right? So you set the goal for yourself, you know what, when I get home, I'm gonna spend 2 minutes and put on my gym clothes. You do that, you're probably going to want to put on your gym shoes while you're at it, and then you might as well grab your water bottle, and then you might as well drive to the gym, and then while you're at that, you might as well do the workout. So you see how this all just kind of leads to a chain reaction, but it all started with the 2-minute goal of putting on your gym clothes. Once that becomes automatic, then your next goal may be, okay, I'm going to spend 2 minutes gathering my gym stuff, right? My gym bag, my water bottle, and stuff like that. I know I'm using the gym a lot in this example, but that's because that's something I'm currently incorporating into my life, so it's the first thing to come to mind. Now, you may be able to actually take action and make some progress on these habits you're trying to create, but it can be all too easy to fall back to previous behavior patterns unless you incorporate the fourth law of behavior change, which is make it satisfying. We are much more likely to repeat a behavior if it is actually satisfying. I mean, that seems obvious. So how can we use that knowledge to help us create and stick to these habits? Well, in order to get a habit to stick, we have to make sure that there is some kind of instant gratification. Even if it's really small, even if it is literally you telling yourself, hey, good job for doing that thing. If you just do that little bit, you're more likely to continue that behavior in the future because you're going to want to pat yourself on the back. And we can use an even more robust example. We could say that you want to spend less money dining out and getting takeout all the time, but you also want to save money for this new piece of tech. Well, let's say every time that you resist the temptation to get takeout and instead make food at home, then you transfer 20 bucks into your savings account for that new piece of tech. Well, that's some instant gratification to resist the urge and say no to takeout, and it's going to feel good, and you're going to look forward to the next time you get to say no to that, because you'll see your savings for that new piece of tech go up. It's instantly gratifying, so you're satisfying that fourth law of behavior change, and you're more likely to repeat that behavior in the future until it becomes automatic. Okay, if you take anything away from this video, I hope it's that you actually need to take action and implement your intentions in your life. You have to actually do the things in order to make progress. So what I'd like you to do is just leave a quick comment below telling me, what are you going to do today, right after this video, to make sure that you stick to these habits you want to create. Even if it's writing down your habit stacking plan, that's simple enough. Whatever it is, just leave a comment down below. I'd love to read it, and consider liking the video and subscribing if you enjoyed this as well. And I hope you have a great rest of your day.